Gender politics is clearly an issue, as we're seeing in Northern Ireland at the moment with Arlene Foster. Why did you, as leader of the Greens, struggle on Scottish radio to say what a woman is?
I'm not sure I remember struggling to answer that question. I mean, very, very clearly there are some people, and they are a small but vocal minority, who, for example, don't accept the equality of transgender people, which was legislated for more than 15 years ago, when the creation of the Gender Recognition Act was necessary to restore trans people's human rights, which were being breached in the absence of it. There are some people who've never accepted that. Most people do accept it and don't want to discriminate against trans people or other LGBT plus people. And
so
most of Scotland's
should trans people have equal rights with women and equal access to women's spaces?
Well, I mean, the trans people and women are not two separate groups. There are trans people who are men and there are trans people who are women, and a trans woman should not be discriminated against for being trans.
No, but a trans person who identifies as a woman, a trans person who identifies as a woman, should they have the same rights and the same access to women's spaces?
Yes, of course. A trans woman, like a black woman or a Jewish woman or a disabled woman, should not be discriminated against.
So a trans woman is a woman in your view, even if they have male genitalia, for example?
Well, it's not just my view, it's the law. And the law can be improved. At the moment, the transition process is time-consuming, expensive, and many trans people say quite humiliating. So we need to improve that. And trans healthcare, in the city I'm speaking to you from, Glasgow, the waiting list for a first appointment for trans healthcare is 3 years, not for treatment, just for a first appointment, and up to another year and a half for a follow-up appointment. So there's a great deal that we need to improve about the situation of trans people, a small, marginalised group in our society. And just yesterday, the Scottish Greens, Rainbow Greens, the LGBT network within our party, launched their own manifesto, setting out a really positive agenda for how we can achieve that and much more. And most of Scotland's women's and feminist movement recognise, and have done for years, that trans people's human rights are not a threat to women's human rights.
I mean, people will notice that you talk more about trans people than women.
Well, they might think that based on the kind of questions you've been choosing to ask me. But if you look at our manifesto, you'll see a very strong agenda in relation to issues from decriminalising abortion to improving, making legal aid available for domestic violence cases, indeed to abolishing the not proven verdict, which results in a great many sexual offences and domestic abuse offences, resulting in a lack of justice for victims. So there's a huge amount that we need to do on this agenda and more. Yeah, for the vast majority of equality organisations and campaigners, there's a recognition that we have made progress as a society toward being more equal.
We're going to have to end it there, I'm afraid, Mr. Harvie. Thank you very much indeed. Voting in Scotland next Thursday. We'll have full coverage here on Sky News, but that is all from us for today. Please join us again tomorrow.